It's also the shortage of antifungal amphotericin B, which is the critical life-saving drug at the moment. Families of patients across the country are running from pillar to post to get this injection. Many states have barred the private sale of the antifungal drug to prevent black marketing. On the ground, this is the reality.
COVID patients gasped for breath. Their families ran pillar to post for medicines like remdesivir and tocilizumab. And now when the black fungus disease is spreading among COVID-recovered patients, the antifungal amphotericin B injection is running out of stock. This is the scene at Indore's Mahatma Gandhi Medical College. The families are here to buy the injection, but they're left disappointed.
हमें ये बताया गया था कि यहाँ पे हमें साइन कराना होंगे डीन साहब के। डीन साहब ने यहाँ से उनको ये बोल के मना कर दिया है कि यहाँ पे हमारे पास स्टॉक अवेलेबल नहीं है, हम साइन नहीं करेंगे, आपको जिससे कंप्लेंट करनी कर दो।
लाइपोसोमल इंजेक्शन वहाँ डिस्ट्रीब्यूटर के पास में जाते हैं, डिस्ट्रीब्यूटर बोलता है हमको कि हमारे पास भरपूर स्टॉक है, आप सिर्फ डीन साहब के साइन करा के लेके आ जाओ। डीन साहब के पास आ रहे हैं तो डीन साहब बोल रहे हैं कि मैं साइन नहीं करूँगा क्योंकि नकली दवाई है। तो नकली दवाई है तो डीआई को बताओ ना, आप डीआई चेक करेगा।
In Indore, the drug is not on sale at private stores on government orders to stop black marketing, which is why families have gathered at the hospital.
ये जो ऑर्डर जिसको साइन करते हैं इसको तभी कर सकते हैं जबकि इंजेक्शन उपलब्ध हो। सभी लोगों से विनती है कि यहाँ खड़े रहने से कोई फ़ायदा नहीं है, आप फॉर्म यहाँ जमा कर दीजिए, जब भी इंजेक्शन आएंगे हम उनके अस्पताल के थ्रू उनको पहुँचाएंगे।
The situation is no different in Uttar Pradesh. Rahul Singh is hunting for the medicine for the past 5 days. His father is a black fungus patient and he needs amphotericin B injections.
सर बस गुमराह किया जा रहा है, मिल तो कहीं नहीं रहा है। कभी ऑक्सीजन की किल्लत रहती है, कभी दवाओं की किल्लत रहती है, सारा चीज़ वही है। डिस्ट्रिक्ट हॉस्पिटल भी वही है, इसलिए सर मजबूरन इंसान को यहाँ लेके आना पड़ रहा है।
In Uttar Pradesh, the Red Cross Society has been authorized to distribute the antifungal drug.
ये पेंडेमिक के कारण ये फंगस वाली स्थिति जो है एकदम से उभरी और इस इंजेक्शन की उपलब्धता पूरे भारतवर्ष में 2-3 हज़ार इंजेक्शन पूरे वर्ष में नहीं खर्च होते थे और एकदम से इसकी डिमांड आ गई है। तो हम अगर कहें तो जिस तरीके से हम लोग देख पा रहे हैं 2-3-4 हज़ार इंजेक्शन तो लखनऊ शहर के लिए चाहिए। इसकी इतनी तैयारी प्रशासन के लिए भी मुश्किल काम है, वो लोग प्रयास कर रहे हैं। हम लोग भी यहाँ बैठे हैं कि उस चीज़ को अगर हमारे पास उपलब्धता होती है तो हम उसको प्रोवाइड कराएं सरलता से।
Shortage of amphotericin B has been reported from other parts of the country, including Karnataka, Gujarat and Uttarakhand. The centre had on Saturday allocated additional 23,680 injections for the states. Bureau Report, India Today.
Let me ask that question now. Why is there a shortage of medicines? How long is it going to take to resolve this drug shortage issue, particularly because we are talking here of life-saving drugs in an infection that is spreading widely? Let me go to someone, Dharmesh Shah, CMD BDR Pharmaceuticals, who is part of the manufacturing industry of such drugs. Joanna Lokhande is member Citizens COVID Action Group. Appreciate both of you joining us. I want to come to you first, Mr. Shah, because the fact is we have 5 existing manufacturers of amphotericin B in the country: Bharat Serums, BDR, Sun Pharma, Cipla, Lifecare, 1 importer, Mylan Labs, and yet we don't have enough. We simply don't have enough vials at the moment. Hospital after hospital is running short. Why? What is the problem?
So let me explain to you that amphotericin B, we have been manufacturing for last couple of years. The usage has been very small. All of a sudden, because of mucormycosis, the demand is huge. Now, there are 3 critical factors in amphotericin B liposomal. One is the drug by itself as amphotericin B powder. There is only one producer in India and the capacity is only 25 to 30 kilos per month, which is very small compared to the current requirement. Second is we use 2 important lipids to manufacture these liposome. And there is only one manufacturer in the world in Switzerland. who had scarcity, who were unable to supply because of the usage of these in some other vaccines or some other things in Europe. And third most important thing is the filters which we use along with these vials for the doctors. Now this is coming from United States, and this also is in a short supply. I mean, for everyone, in such a short time to gear up for these quantities are difficult. Secondly, this is a complex molecule, and the lead time of manufacturing is not less than 25 to 30 days. And the batch size varies from producer to producer. It goes from 2,000 vial up to probably 20,000 vials. So one cannot be taking a larger batch sizes also. In fact, since the day the mucormycosis broke and liposomal amphotericin is very widely required, we have been working very, very closely with the Drug Controller General of India as well as with the Department of Pharmaceuticals, putting forward our difficulties in terms of getting the lipids. Fortunately for us, government through our Indian embassies have liaised very closely with the lipid manufacturer in Switzerland, who has started preponing our deliveries, and the shipments have started. So
are you saying, Mr. Shah, that this is primarily an issue of demand and supply at the moment, and that you expect within the next month to ramp up production, because you say it takes 25 days? Are you telling me that if I speak to you next month this time, we will have double, triple production?
For sure. I can tell you that for mid of June, I can tell you with all the production getting ramped up and the lipid shipments have started coming in, I believe that post 10th of June, the situation will ease out.
Right.
And if the cases remain within a control, I think we will see a far better reach for the patients for the medicines.
Okay, that's the reassuring news. But Joanna Lokhande, we've seen now, first with remdesivir, favipiravir, tocilizumab, now we are seeing it with amphotericin. There is a huge demand-supply problem. Now, I'm not underestimating the scale of what's happening, but either way, we call ourselves the drug capital, pharma capital of the world, but we simply have been caught off guard at times.
Yes, it's been a very terrible situation on ground. For example, Gujarat came up with the notification on 19th, and people just started running to hospitals. But the notification wasn't very clear whether the hospitals have to procure it, whether the patient's skin has to go and procure it. So it led to this complete chaos at the grassroots, complete chaos at the ground. People are still fumbling as to what has to be done. The cases are grossly underreported. Right now, we are talking about 2,200 cases in Gujarat. But these are cases on only the notified 8 hospitals that we are talking about. What about the rural areas? How many cases are coming on a daily basis? So there is no way in which we actually have the figures.
No, so what would you have recommended? Are you saying that the government's regulations, the moment the government said, look, you need amphotericin for black fungus, put out the regulation, it set out panic? Is that what you're saying?
There were cases in Gujarat even last year. When post-COVID situation, there were cases. The government has moved very slowly on this. This is only after the centers said that this is an epidemic that the state declared it as an epidemic. It should have moved, and it should have moved on time. This is last minute when the cases are rising. There's a steep rise in the number of cases. We were talking about when we were trying to help people on ground. We were talking about some close to 1,500 cases, and within almost a day, there was a huge rise in the number of cases. In fact, Baroda Hospital had a 40.
So you're saying governments woke up late. State governments woke up late. As a result, hospitals also were struggling to have the required number of VLs that were required to handle black fungus. Am I correct?
Yes. Now, there is a petition in the High Court where the government has said that we have ordered for 1 lakh, close to 1.4 lakh vials. What we have in the public domain is about 5,800 vials has been given to the government of Gujarat.
Yes.
Do we have the figures as to which district has received how many vials. Do we have the figures? This is a matter of transparency. This is a matter of accountability, which the government needs to actually take very seriously, because this is leading to panic not just within the medical fraternity, it's also leading to panic with amongst the public. And what does the public do? This is only running from running from one place to another.
I couldn't agree with you more. I just want one final word from you, Mr. Shah. Just to understand, what is the lesson that the drugs and pharma industry will learn from what's happened in the last couple of months? You know, the fact is that, as I said, we branded ourselves as the drug pharma capital of the world, but we found at times the whole huge gap between demand and supply. Is there a lesson to learn?
Rajdeep, definitely there is a lesson to learn, but at the same time, I would say that Indian pharma industry has always stood by the challenge in the shortest possible time, be it remdesivir or be it favipiravir or be it now liposomal amphotericin. These are all not a very easy drugs, and also one needs to understand that COVID has been new to everybody since March 2020. There has been so much been talked about by WHO. There have been different kinds of observations which have been coming. Most of these are based on the observational study. Right. So there is a limit to which a pharma industry can carry on the inventory, because these are all life-saving injectable product which has a shelf life issues. Most of these injectables don't have a shelf life of more than 2 years. So pharma industry cannot anticipate such pandemic in advance and keep the inventories which will run out the shelf life, and those products will have to be ultimately destroyed.
Okay.
But we should, I mean, sorry to interrupt you, but I think we are doing all our best efforts to stand by the cause and help all the patients who are suffering. There are challenges, but we are dealing with it, and government has been supporting us in this.
Okay, let's leave it there clearly, Mr. Shah. I know these have been tough times for everyone, including the drug and pharma industry, to keep up with this rising demand. But a lot of important points raised by Ms. Lokhande. We need to be better prepared, and certainly we need to communicate far more effectively to citizens.
I'd just like to add, Rajdeep, sorry to cut you short, that when there was an oxygen shortage, government of Gujarat had run oxygen control room. There is a system in place. What is the problem in having that same system for amphotericin? They had nodal officers. Why only 8 hospitals have been notified? What about the other districts? I think these are points that the government needs to consider. And at the grassroots level, what the government needs to do, there needs to be a careful consideration of these issues. There are 33 districts in the state. And only 8 hospitals have been made the nodal hospitals. What about the others? There is a logistical problem of how the other hospitals will procure. So these are critical points that the government needs to consider and needs to talk with people, civil society who are working at the ground.
You need logistical experts, you need communication, you need, in fact, even more than doctors at the moment, what we need are logistical experts to ensure that the drugs reach the hospitals where they are required urgently. Let's leave it there. 2 viewpoints, and I appreciate your joining us. We've done this deep dive into what is a crisis of drug shortage. Thank you very much to Mr. Shah and Ms. Lokhande. Let's turn to tonight's Get Real India story. Every day we go to one corner of the country